Immediately post-workout, I like to eat in my car in the parking lot. So it's New Year's. It's a little bit late. So I'm gonna eat one of these and then another one that is a beef meal. Back to back, drive home, and then have my last meal, which is just some beef with green beans, no carbs in my last meal. I noticed that I stay leaner that way and I feel better, like I sleep better. I need to get a stand for my phone to do this. So I just did the training. I guess I could talk a little bit about what was going on, or maybe do a voiceover later. I don't know. I'm kind of going by feel with all this. So basically, I didn't record the chin-ups at the beginning that I always do, and some pull-downs later in the middle. But I got one of pretty much every exercise. And hammer curls. Damn. So it was back and biceps. Right now I'm trying to get stronger, so I'm prioritizing the deadlifts with higher volume. Like instead of doing like a 5x5 thing, I need more reps for hypertrophy and all that. So I'm doing kind of like a 5x12 thing. I used to do German volume training, like a 10x10. That was crazy because I would do that on top of like a full training session. Actually, it was a 2-a-day. So what I used to do, don't do this, this is crazy, but I used to have like a full back day in the morning. On days that I trained back, I did back once a week. So I would do a full back day in the morning with like, 3 different kinds of rows, 3 different kinds of pull downs, everything like a full back day, everything like 3 or 4 sets of 10 or 12. And then like I would work all day and then come back later and I would do deadlifts for German volume training, like 10x10. But technically it was like 5 sets of 10-ish, sometimes 12 of 405. And then I would do first I would do 10 sets of 495, 5 plates of, I would shoot for 12. And most of the time I got 12 for 5 sets. So 5 sets of 12 with 5 plates, right? With the same form that I'm gonna show in my training video, which is very slow and controlled. I have a video of me doing one of those sets on my YouTube on one of my shorts. Check that out if you want to see kind of what I was doing. So I would do 5 sets with the 5 plates times 12. And then I would follow that with 5x12 of 405. So technically 10 sets, 5 with 5 plates and 5 with 4. But fuck me, that was, pardon my language, that was so hard, dude. But I would do that in the PM, and then I would follow it with rack pulls that I would do with like 5 or 6 plates with like 3 or 4 sets. And then I would do, I would do abs and then cardio. And that was crazy. I would do that every week, and I got so strong, and I got like so much density and so much muscle from that. The only bottleneck is that it's very hard to recover from. In hindsight, I wasn't eating enough, and I was natural at the time. I can talk about this later. I've started TRT actually, I guess it's New Year's, right? So like 10 weeks ago, fully, from a prescription. It's 200 milligrams. I can talk about that later, but that helps a lot. It helps a lot. Because like before, when I was doing all that and I was working like not a lot at the time, but like 20, 30 hours, and then going to school, and I started a business then. So I was like doing all that and training twice a day like that, still 4 days a week. But, and to be fair, the 2-a-days were only 2 of those days, but it was still a lot, dude. Like 3-4 hours sometimes, going to bed really late. I'm gonna have one of those tonight, but it's way easier to recover now. Hindsight's 2020 though. If you're ever gonna experiment with something like that, make sure that your recovery capability is proportionally higher than your output in the gym, which that would be asking a lot, because if you were to try and mimic something like that, your output would be way crazy high, because that was insane. I was 22 when I was doing something like that, and it was still like I was pushing hard, because I wanted to go pro. So I was like, this is what I have to do, whatever. This is back in the day with Rich Piana. when he would talk about, more is better. And I was like, okay, like, I got it. I'll just do more. And it worked. But like, there was a bottleneck, because I didn't proportionally increase my recovery capability to kind of counteract the damage that I was doing. And then all I did was ended up damaging myself, and I got kind of injured and whatever, and then had to take a long break. And that's why I'm kind of coming back now, because I feel like I'm in a really good spot to kind of come back. But anyway, so yeah, be forewarned. The 2-a-days are effective, but if you're not able to recover from them properly, I would, word of caution, I would not try them unless you're very, very capable of and confident in your recovery capabilities to far outweigh that kind of output. Like, unless you're basically doing it for a living, I wouldn't mess with it, seriously. It's a lot better to consolidate and do kind of what I'm doing now, which is everything all together, and then maybe a 5x12 for even if only for a period. Because to be fair, where I was going with this is I'm prioritizing getting stronger while I'm on my way back. So like right now, instead of doing the 10 sets of like a German volume training thing, I'm doing a 5x12 to give me my volume and sets. And I feel like, especially with the technique that I have in terms of like a slow descent, I count to 3 on the way down, and on every rep, and I try to count to 3 on the way up. Although with compound movements, it's going to be a little bit more explosive on the positive portion, which is fine. But anyway, so that kind of gives me the best of both worlds, where I get my hypertrophy, I got my strength, but that's why I prioritize it in the beginning. So like, I'll do chin-ups for like 3 or 4 sets of like, I shoot for 10. They're hard though, because I do the same eccentric slow thing that I like to do. And I actually, on most other movements that aren't compounds, by the way, I try to count to 3 even on the positive. And the point of that for me is to kind of expose if I have any weaknesses in the range of my reps. So like, if I'm like, say I'm doing a chin up, right, and I'm going like 1, 2, 3 to contract at the top, and then 1, 2, 3, pause, stretch a little bit at the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, contract, 1, 2, 3, stretch, and on like that. It kind of like, it helps me strengthen the full range of every rep, and really get the most out of it. And because a lot of times, like, if you're kind of jerky and just like flex the muscle, which is what you're supposed to do, but if you do it like too fast, you can kind of like, there's going to be a little bit of momentum that's hard to get away from, and so you end up kind of like leaving yourself out to dry. You leave a lot on the table when it comes to what you're getting out of the movement, I believe. So, and to be honest, if you look at like a lot of prehab movements, a lot of them are just like abbreviated versions, like even internal external rotations of the hips or of the rotator cuffs or things like that are just like bits and pieces of reps of movements that you're probably doing anyway, but you're just not emphasizing those little nuances. Versus if you slow everything down, at least in your head, where you count to 3 and you're more conscious of it. It doesn't have to literally be 3 seconds, but if you're at least conscious of the full range from beginning to end every rep, and how you connect to, especially like the squeeze and the static, and then the stretch and the eccentric and all that, you're really going to get like higher ROI. And I believe that it's kind of a good way to almost consolidate what would be prehab or preventative injury work dedicated, that you have to like go out of your way for, and your regular training. It almost kind of puts them together. And for me, that kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. And I notice that I get stronger, I feel better, I feel the muscle more efficiently, and I don't get injured as often as if I were to do it the other way, which is just like clang and bang, bro, just rip it. And it's like, okay. But the cool thing is too, if you train this way, where you're more like kind of intent, kind of like a Nick Walker-esque thing, that I was always doing, like even when I was like 21, 22, I preferred to train this way. And I just recently kind of reminded myself of the cues. When you train this way, and especially after, because I remember Ben Pekulski saying something like it takes like 4 to 6 weeks for your nervous system to kind of adjust to a new system. But once you do that and you're really conscious of it for about a month, And some guys, like if you're more adept at training, it might be even sooner. Some, it varies to individual, but I've noticed for myself that about 4 to 6 weeks of like really being conscious of this style, then it's like, okay, then you really click and you start like in your head, like when you're moving and everything, you see all the fibers and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like I really click, it feels like you're actually getting everything out of every rep and you feel really productive. I'm starting to like, as I'm like, looking in the mirror and like feeling stuff and everything while I'm training, it's like, okay, like it's clicking now, which is very good. I feel very productive. So now it's just a matter of going to bed on time, unlike tonight, but that's okay. Once in a while is fine. But anyway, this is kind of a rant for 10 minutes, but just wanted to give you kind of an overview of like my mindset for training and like my belief system and structure and everything. But in general, but I guess to put a cap on like what the back workout was today. So deadlifts, barbell rows, same style, like I said, 3 on the way up and down and all that, squeeze and everything. So barbell rows, dumbbell rows, and the reason why I'm doing all these compound movements again is to prioritize strength, get my strength back and everything. And once I get to a level of like, I'm doing the 5x12 with like 5 plates and I feel like my form's really good, everything's connecting. Same thing with the barbell rows and dumbbell rows. Like if I can get to a certain level of strength like that with reps and keep the form and all that to a certain level, I'll be like, okay, I'm good. And then maybe I'll like do the same thing with the same weight, but maybe move it from the front of the session to the back and make it even harder. That's kind of a trick you can do too. If you don't want to like just put more weight on the bar, I'd say switch your movements around, because that's what I used to do anyway. Is I used to do the heavy compounds I used to do my deadlifts at the very end, like I said, in the evening of my 2-a-days. And that is hard, because if I were to do them in hindsight, maybe, this is all hypothetical, if I were to have like prioritized deadlifting back then and just started with them, or even had a day like totally dedicated to them, or even like program them at all, because I'm not a power lifter, I'm a bodybuilder, and I tell myself that. But like if I had like prioritized deadlifts, I don't even know what I could have lifted, but it almost scares me to think about. So if you want to prioritize injury prevention, my advice, if you're kind of like getting too strong for your own good, I think there's a certain limit for bodybuilding that you need. I don't think you need to be doing how many guys could do this, but like I don't think you need to be the guy that's doing like 5x12 7-plate deadlifts or whatever. If you can do that, that's rad, that's sick. But like is it necessary for bodybuilding? I don't know. I mean, like, you're really towing the line at that point, where like, is it productive? Is there a risk to reward ratio here that I'm comfortable with long term? I could see like maybe building yourself up to the point where you're capable of something like that. But in terms of like working it into like as in your work weight that you're like doing weekly, I mean, if you're able to get away with it, cool. I don't know. It's one of those things where you kind of have to weigh it out and be like, am I willing to maybe risk it? But I guess if you're building yourself up slow, and you're comfortable enough in your capabilities and you're like confident in it, I don't know. It's just something to think about, where maybe you don't want to just prioritize the load. I think if you're prioritizing load above all else, which I'm not doing, like I'm the rule I have, 2 big things for strength, in my opinion, is if you can't feel it while you're doing it, it's too heavy, I think is a good rule for bodybuilding anyway. Like in the muscle that you're trying to contract, in the way that you're trying to contract it, right? So like when I'm doing deadlifts, I literally think about every fiber of my back, like in the way that I kind of am able to, kind of open up and like really squeeze everything down from like the top of my traps all the way to my erectors and everything in between, front, back, left, right. I can feel everything, and that's why I'm doing them. If you're not able to feel it that way, maybe pull the weight down a little bit and really focus on form of squeezing all the muscle. And once you get that ability, then start loading, increasing the load, So feeling it. And then if you can, in my opinion, my second rule for strength is if you can't get at least 12 reps with perfect form while feeling it, it's too heavy, generally. And so like but there's the stipulation being like, say last week I did a 5x12 with like 365 or something. That tells me I'm ready to go up. So now I'm shooting for 5x12 with 4 plates. I didn't get it this week. I got like I got like 5x10 ish. I think one of them I got 12, which is cool. But unless I can get 12 for 5 sets with a compound movement, I don't go up. That's my rule. So because at that point, it's not a guess. When you do go up, you're like, I can for sure handle it. It's just like, maybe I won't be able to get 5 sets of 12 reps, you know, which is fine, because what if you get, you know, and I typically go up in like quarters ish. So like I go from like, you know, a plate to a quarter. And then if I get like say for example, like last week, the 3 plates and a quarter is 365. So if I got like 365 for 5x12, I'm like, okay, so quarters off, plates on, you know, so it's only up by like 40 pounds, but I'm like, I know I can do it because I just did 3 1/4 for 5x12, you know. So it's not like a psychological thing anymore. It's just let's see if, you know, how many my body can get while I'm still trying to feel it, right? So that's the game in my head that I try to play, is like, you know, shoot for 12. If you miss it a little bit, that's fine, but don't increase the weight unless you can feel it and get 5x12 of it. Then don't go up with heavy compound movements like squats, deadlifts, stuff like that, in my opinion. And then maybe like on a bench or something, or if you're doing like dumbbell bench or like another compound movement for like a smaller body part like chest, maybe like 3x12 I think is a safe bet. 3x12 is fair. You know, weighted dips, stuff like that, you know, I think that's fair. And then for like most other body parts, like even smaller ones like biceps or calves or something, I think if you can do like 2x12 with perfect form and feel it, then go up, I think is good. And then again, if you're shy of 12, that's fine, but just try and work your way up to it. And then when you do, then you can increase the weight, and so the pattern continues. And that's how you progress and get stronger and get bigger. So anyway, okay, so that was a little bit of a rant, but hopefully you kind of get a better insight into my training style. If you have any questions or anything, just let me know. And if this is a kind of thing that you want, like in terms of me talking like this in the car, putting off my post-workout meal, or maybe I could do like a Q&A or something, if you have any like specific questions about anything, certain body parts, videos that you want to see, training, food stuff, etc., you know. So don't be shy, hit me up, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And if there's anything that you want to see, just let me know.